The Local Defence Volunteers, or LDV, were soon known as the Look, Duck and Vanish Brigade, or the Long-Dentured Veterans. They were soon renamed the Home Guard. We know them better as Dad's Army.
And they were mocked from the start.
The Minister of Supply, could you please oblige us with the Bren gun? Or failing that, a hand grenade will do. We've got some ammunition in a rather damp condition, and Major Huss has an arquebus that was used at Waterloo.
Frustrated by the old boys in charge, Wintringham decided to show his men what he'd learned in Spain.
Tactics of guerrilla warfare. This one's known as the monkey crawl. Here is Ricky, the Spaniard, showing them how it's done. Here they were taught, amongst other things, methods of dealing with the dive bomber.
Wintringham also wrote a best-selling book which mixed his left-wing principles with recipes for homemade grenades and Molotov cocktails.
In some secluded rendezvous that overlooks the avenue, with someone sharing a delight, there's some battle cocktails for two.
Surely more schools of this kind are needed. We all want to know the best way of handing out cocktails to unwelcome guests.
Most any afternoon.
Another member of the team was the surrealist artist and camouflage expert Roland Penrose, who had his own special mixture.
Soot and flour, which makes a good paste, which sticks to the face. And he enlivened his lectures with a slideshow featuring pictures of his girlfriend, the photographer and model Lee Miller, cunningly camouflaged in a variety of nude poses.
Tom Wintrigham's belief that the war would bring socialism wasn't far off the mark, but his revolutionary zeal was too much for the old guard.
And just 3 months after it opened, Hastily Park was taken over by the regular army. It was a confluent of sorts, but it wasn't the same. Wintrigham's dream of a people's army primed for total war was over.
The 7th of September 1940, a beautiful afternoon. At 4:15, Londoners look up and see what they've been dreading for months. Almost 1,000 German aircraft were advancing up the Thames. This flying terror stretched 20 miles wide across the sky. 600 fighter planes escorting 350 bombers.
An American journalist had heard them 20 minutes earlier over Kent. At first, we couldn't see anything, he said, but soon the noise had grown to a deep, full roar, like the faraway thunder of a giant waterfall. And then they came into view, like clouds of insects, moving northwest towards the capital.
London's docks were their main target. Warehouses and wharves were soon ablaze.
The burnt toffee smell from the Tate and Lyle sugar barges blazing on the Thames spread through the air. The firefighters called for help from all round the country. "Send all the bloody pumps you've got," said one. "The whole bloody world's on fire." They came back the next night, and the next, and the one after that, the first offensive of the London Blitz went on for 76 days and nights, broken by only one quiet night.
Up to a point, Britain was ready for this. Some public shelters had been prepared, but they proved grossly inadequate. In Spitalfields, the locals took over the vaults of the strongest building they could find.
This basement was supposed to have space for up to 5,000 people sheltering, but on the first night it opened, twice that number crammed themselves in down here. No water, no proper lighting, no ventilation, no sanitation, no privacy. It quickly became a lice-ridden, stinking underworld. And yet, in this dark and dirty chaos, something rather wonderful happened.
Street lamps aglow and newsboys calling.
Someone decided to try and make the shelter work. His name was Mickey Davis, but he was better known as Mickey the Midget. He was hunchbacked and only 3 foot 3 inches tall, and he was in the shelter from the first night.
Bright-colored lights, palladium nights, and a world that was always gay.
Mickey established a democratically elected shelter committee, a penny a week levy to pay for cleaning, and a scheme to pay for free milk for the children.
Laughter and song and swing doors turning.
Soon this budding underground welfare state was being known as Mickey's Shelter, and British government officials were introducing visiting American politicians to it as a practical example of democracy, Blitz style.
In the first month of the Blitz, 250,000 Londoners lost their homes, 12,000 were badly injured, 6,000 killed. The Blitz was the first sustained attempt to break a country's morale and make it surrender by bombing its civilians. This was now a people's war, and civilians became the heroes.
We've been bombed, dive bombed, high-level bombed, machine gunned, been through 2 invasion scares. The last lot we had the house down about our ears. But we're still sticking it, and we're going to stick it.
But for how long? Britain badly needed help. On the morning of the 29th of August 1940, a young man hailed a cab to Euston Station to catch the boat train to Liverpool. With his luggage was a large black metal box. His name was Edward Taffy Bowen, son of a Swansea steelworker and a research scientist in the top-secret field of radar.
Taffy Bowen was off on one of the most important secret missions of the war. His metal case contained virtually every military breakthrough made by British science. It really was, in 1940, the ultimate box of tricks. And now the taxi driver insisted on tying it to the roof of the cab. No time to argue, so off they went.
Bowen was part of the Tizard mission, named after its brilliant leader, the scientist Henry Tizard. He was proposing an historic exchange of military and scientific secrets between Britain and the United States.